Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new PSGL race highlights here in Mexico City, and this is going to be round 7 of the PSGL Championship. Heading through in Q1, we're on our first run here, just setting a banker lap as we head with 6 minutes 40 seconds left on the timer. This race, we really need to go well. We need to get the qualifying better. We've been out in Q1 a few times in the last handful of races, so we're looking to improve on that as we go forward through the chicane, and we're going to be into the final apex of the lap on the power gradually, and we're going to be using the shortest distance running up the line, and we go provisionally P7, and what is a massive improvement to where we've been previously at this point in the session in the past few races. So now, final run here in Q1 P9 as other people have come across the line, and we're going to be sending it into the first sequence of corners here in Mexico, into the braking zone. Left, and we're just going to turn the car left way too early over the inside curbing, invalidate our lap, but our first lap was good enough to be putting us through into Q2 either way. Q2 started out with rain pouring down and was going to get slippier and wetter as the session would go on. So really, it is all about getting across the line, getting this first lap absolutely nailed, as the track will deteriorate rapidly as we go on throughout the session. And this is going to be a really difficult lap to get down, to get nailed straight away. Bit of backstory: my V3 pedals that I originally were using broke the day before this race, so I had quite literally 24 hours to get used to the V2 pedals from the Fanatec range before this qualifying session. And it was quite a task to get used to the rain condition as well. So we are going to be living on our instincts, living on our wits here during this lap to try and adjust these pedals in the wet condition as well. In the braking zone, you can see missing that apex by about 20 centimeters, the car twitching this way and that. The braking is generally pretty good, but just being a bit conservative on the throttle, not getting right to the limit of where I'd like to be. And now you can see building up the traction, the Haas ahead of us, and we're going to be going through the high-speed sequence of corners here, and we're just going to be sending it through and getting a bit of a snap of oversteer that cost us rotation as we go through the second part of the apexes through the high-speed sequence of corners. The Haas ahead of us gets out the way, and now we're going to be going into the final sector, and we're going to be hooking up the corners, just trying not to lose time, not to overheat the rear tires, overheat the surface, I should be saying, as we're going into the final apex of the lap, and we're hooking up the apex pretty well on the power, smoothly running up to the line. Where can we go? Where can this put us? And we go provisionally P5, what ended up to be P9 at the end of the session. So we are through into Q3, and again it is going to be raining, and we're going to be trying to learn and adapt to these pedals in the rain condition as fast as possible through the middle sequence of corners, a bit better than we had in our Q2 run. So already learning, already developing, and now into the final sector a bit better. The car's rotating, getting a bit more grip, having a bit more confidence into the apexes. That was lovely, jumping over the inside curb, and now into the final apex of the lap, just building up a bit more confidence, a bit more grip, a bit more precision with these pedals as we go on and on. You see, keeping the traction in the car as we go provisionally P2 across the start finish line. And now final run here in qualifying, and the track is getting drier and drier and drier as we go on. We can see we only had 15 seconds as we came across the start finish line, and we have a flurry of cars behind us starting their laps as well. So coming down into turn 1, just get the car slowed down, get it rotated into the apex. Third gear, the rear sliding around a little bit over the inside curbing through the right hander on the traction quite nicely onto the exit. End of the first sector coming up now. Really difficult braking zone, really technical into the sequence of corners. You can see we do a 30.9 into the apex. That was pretty successful through there, through the right hander, back on the power. Lovely as we go through into the right hander again on the power, looking to be a second up on our delta, but the track is improving rapidly as we go through. Now left hander back on the power, through the right, through the left, and we're going to be picking up the pace, picking up the pieces of this lap as we go through. Much better on the exit, the car twitching this way and that, and now into the final sector here in Mexico City. We go a little bit deep, the front just not gripping and biting as we expected, into the hairpin, down to third gear, a bit tricky on the power here, jumping over the inside curbing, and you can see 3.4 seconds up on the delta. And this has been a very successful lap for me. I'm very happy with this lap, all things considered. Right. And you can see we do a 24.5, ended up P9. What, considering we was only on the pedals for 24 hours in advance of this race and had been using the VV pedals for about half a year before that, to jump on a new set of pedals and to be against some of the best drivers on the F1 game, and then to be adapting to the wet conditions, was a quite successful session in my opinion. With that all being said though, we are now in the race. P9 getting a very good start, better than Tamas, even though we're on 2 sets worse tyres compared to him, and now already up into P8 in the slipstream of the cars ahead. Now looking to the outside line, just trying to pick my way through, put myself in the least dangerous place possible, and ultimately try and avoid any contact. With that being said, Jake is going to get spun around almost ahead of us, and we had to go avoiding that, and that's put us on the back foot, so that's a bit unfortunate for us, but good action to avoid contact from the cars ahead, as now we are fighting Philippe Fleischneider going around outside. You can see the position we lose to Ruben up ahead. We're trying to get that back, looking around us outside, but that's not quite going to work at this point, as now we're heading on and starting to filter into the middle sector. Luke Smith is going to be behind us on the soft compound tyres, and I don't really have an interest in fighting him at this point in the race, especially because I said he's on the soft compound tyres, I'm on the hard, and there would be very little to no point to waste my battery fighting him at the moment. So we left off the throttle, recover a bit extra battery in fact, and try to put ourselves in a strong position for later in the race. Cars fighting up ahead in the hairpin as we come to the end of the first lap here in Mexico City. P11, but considering the contact we almost had in the second turn and multiple other cars being on soft compound tyres, it is a very successful start in my opinion, as we're heading down in the slipstream of Ruben, and I felt really strong, really confident in our race pace as it was starting to unfold here, starting to get into the flow and having a good grip balance. Already only 1/10 behind Ruben into the final sector as we lift off to recover a bit more battery, and I have to say we're just going to get ploughed into the back by Istvan Pukki, who came from like 7 attempts back into the braking zone and just completely hit into the back of us, and is now driving into the pit lane to retire.
Who was it?
So yeah, it was a interesting situation.
I imagine, if he's got damage. Oh well, okay, we recover.
So yeah, it was an interesting situation to dive bomb from like 7 attempts back, take me out, then retire from the race. But that's racing. You already heard me say already like 20 seconds after the incident, get the head back in the game, get focused again, and now you can see on lap 7 we're going to go for a double overtake, faking to the inside of Dylan Warren, Jack West, and now later on the brakes down the inside, and we're going to be able to take the position from Jack West and Dylan Warren. We're already recovering this race, already back in the mindset to fighting forward in this race as much as possible, and now we're going to be back into P15 all over the back of Benz, closing in, and we have really good pace as the cars ahead going side by side. You can see Luke Smith is going to go push Ulas straight into the wall on the exit of the turn there, getting a bit of wheel spin. And again, live commentary from inside the race.
I think Luke Smith is literally just pushing people in walls, right?
So, yeah, you can hear my reaction. I really don't think it was that deep, to be honest.
Okay,
yeah, I don't think he was doing it on purpose at all. But it's just how it looked for my position. And now Luke Smith is going to be vulnerable to us as we're going to be overtaking with the battery. And yeah, he's going to be defending a little bit, and we're going to have to get this braking zone absolutely spot on, down in the brakes, try to make sure we don't hit any cars ahead of us, and we almost made contact with Luke, but able to keep the car completely under control, and was able to avoid any contact. Lap 16, now we're peeling off into the pit lane to try and get an undercut and reattach the leading group. So considering we've been spun, considering the incidents we've had, we are back in a fighting position, and we are back in a position that our pace is thriving, and we have a good opportunity to move forward in this race. Alfie and Tamas already going past us with the undercut, only 7-8 seconds ahead of us, and they have a good opportunity to catch up to them with fresher tyres. But that's all going to go wayward as the servers crash for
What?
the EA and for Steam as well, I believe. So we're gonna have a race restart as we was already halfway into this race here in Mexico City. So it goes back to where the starting grid was. Unfortunately, Freddie Rasmussen did not turn up for the second race, so we got promoted an extra position as well on the grid, moving up from P9 to P8. So maybe I should say, fortunately for us, Freddie did not show up, giving us a free position. Lights out and away we go again, starting on the hard compound tyres, and we're going to be getting again a better start than Tamas, even while being on the harder compound tyres. So our starts have been electric today, deep in the slipstream, looking for where we can place our car, going to the outside into the first turn again, placing ourselves in the opportunity to not get contact, clean around the outside of Alfie Butcher, and now we're going to be on the outside for the traction zone. And you can see we almost got the move done on two-step harder compounder tyres, but there's been a successful start for us, giving a little weave to show Alfie that I'm not going to fight him into this corner, and we are going to be holding our PA as Carnage is unfolding up ahead, 3 wide into the section of corners, and people just making contact. You see Alfie was ghosted, returning back to the track and retaining some of his positions back up to P6, I believe that will be for Alfie, but we are still in P8 here, so that's been a very successful start, and we are well in the fight for this leading train of cars. So that's been much better, and in this early stage anyway, seems very fortunate considering we got taken out in the initial race, and we're going to be leading on to being P8 as Tamas absolutely sends it on Otis Lawrence, and Otis gives him a little tap back off the track, I think as a hip check to get the dive bomb, let's say, equaled out. And now heading on to lap 2, you can see...
We know if Otis have damage.
I asked if Otis has damage, as he got overtaken by quite a lot of cars, and there was quite a lot of carnage in the first 3 corners. But now, as you can see, we got hit in the first race, and we're just going to get slammed into the back 2 again in the second race.
Bro, second race in a row. I just get hit from behind. Lovely jubbly. Sound as a pound.
Yeah, so you can hear I'm not particularly happy. Second lap, being hit again. And now we're going to get hit again, in fact. From half a second back, 4 tenths back, and we're just going to get completely ran into the back off. Yeah, I mean, well. Yeah, so Philippe hit us into the back. Ruben took advantage of that. And now Ruben is not pressing his battery down the straight, and meaning we're going to be completely out of the DRS zone of the cars ahead, what means I'm going to have to use the battery to get repast him and close in to the cars ahead. Otherwise, the trainer cars would have been completely separated, and we would have been really screwed in this race, to be honest. So I had to use again the battery after being hit by Philippe twice on the same lap to try and close into the cars ahead. Ruben's now already lost position to Dylan Warren, so maybe he had damage as well, I'm not too sure. But with this lap was absolutely on the limit, drained all of my battery, but used all of the tyre performance as well. You can see green on the Delta for the first and middle sector.
No idea how I got DRS.
And now we have been able to get back into the DRS zone and setting the fastest lap. Lap 4, in fact, though, a safety car has come out, and this will be very decisive for our race.
Ideas? Probably stay out, right? Or do we go medium?
So you can hear me asking to go medium. Initially I said to stay out, but then I changed my mind to go medium. And you can see this is going to be, to be honest, the wrong decision to stay out. Every other car boxed. And quite simply, both of the Alpha cars, myself and Thomas, got asked to box. Thomas didn't want to wanted to box, and I followed.
Why did we choose to stay out?
I followed the instruction of the engineers.
What made you call Thomas in?
So you can even hear me asking here, why did Thomas box and why did I stay out? So we got both the same call for the engineers, for Thomas to stay out and myself to stay out, but Thomas decided to box, and Thomas made the right decision, to be honest, in this area. I saw some people saying that this was, let's say, team orders for me to stay out to help Thomas, and this is actually not the case completely, and it was just driver preference and Thomas thinking quite cleverly in this moment to box instead, and me not, to be honest. So yeah, it was not a team order. It was not anything malicious or defying by the team. It was quite literally that situation. But now we are going to be back on the restart. Me and Yano stayed out on hard compound tires. Jake Benham is on fresh hard compound tires behind us, and this is going to be really difficult for me and Yano to fight through in this situation. The cars around us are going to be seconds faster per lap on their compounded tires, and we're going to have multiple laps before the DRS is reactivated. Take note of Alvaro. He overtook us on this lap, and he's already 1.7 seconds ahead of us, and now we're going to be put under so much pressure from the cars behind on our worn hard compound of tyres. You can see 1.3 seconds to Alvaro, even though I had the slipstream down the straight, and that gap is going to be extended to over 2 seconds by the end of this lap. So me and Yado are in a really difficult position, and it is ultimately like being fed to the sharks in this situation. So now lap 10, you can see I'm following Jake Benham. Alvaro's 2.5 seconds ahead on his fresh compounded tyres, showing how much I'm having to push and fight to stay ahead of the other cars. Now Yano is going to go down our inside, and we can't really fight this, because if we fight, we lose. If we fight, we lose. Ultimately, I tried to go around the outside, but I wasn't really planning to fight this. I backed out of it. Alfie takes the initiative, goes around the outside. I have nowhere to go, lose track position, lose momentum. That has already allowed 2 cars through. And now we're all over the back with Otis. We have to brake late. You can see Alfie looks like he's going to go around the outside, but then ultimately bit of racing contact there as he changed his mind at the last moment. No malicious, nothing bad intention, just a bit of racing contact there, as now we get pushed off the track by Otis and we get a 3-second penalty. And now we're really on the back foot. We're having to defend every single corner, and this is a really terrible situation for us. You can see how far Alvaro is already ahead in 3-4 laps of racing alone. He's already got like a 6-second gap, showing the disadvantage of our tyres. And now I'm on the back foot, and you can see Thomas is trying to give me the slipstream, as I'm really thankful for that, to be honest. And we're trying to defend from Dylan Warren, and this has been a disaster lap, and this has been an absolute mess. And to be honest, I can't be mad at that little push from Dylan, as I didn't leave him racing room on the exit of the previous corner, so that's fair from him in my opinion. And now we're down to P12, and we lost 10 positions, 10 positions
this is always going to happen
in this lap alone. And yeah, what a disaster, what a disaster. In hindsight, we should have boxed. Even if we boxed on the second lap of the safety car, it would have been better to be last of the train than in the position that we're in right now. And ultimately, it was always going to happen that we're going to get dropped like this, and was going to be an impossible situation. Between me and Yano, whoever first was going to get overtaken by the medium runners was going to be the person that lost out the most. So Yano played it really smart, I have to say. He got me on the lap, that was most importantly, and I got him on the lap before. And it was just what happened that Alfie and the rest of the medium and soft runners decided to go past on the lap that Yano got me. It cost me momentum, and that's what allowed everyone else to go past in that moment in time. So yeah, Yano did a really good job, but now you can see Yano's on the back foot, and the same thing that happened to me is now going to happen to Yano. So it was just unfortunate. It was not the right strategy to be on.
Yeah,
and you can see we tried to stay out until lap 22, lap 23 of the race, simply just hoping, praying for a safety car. I lost the rest of the cars ahead, just being on the hard compound tyres. And yeah, any way to revive points in this race was basically hoping for another safety car. So we stayed out, and you can see, although the leaders are already going past me, I get out of the way.
To mess up their race.
You can hear me say I'm not going to mess up their race. I could have parked the bus. I could have done anything to ruin their race and be malicious and just be a... There's a lot of words I could use for it, but I'm not going to say it on this video. But be a very bad person is, let's say, the polite way to say it. But I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to ruin people's races. I'm not going to be someone that's parking the bus to be malicious. I'm on my race, they're on their race, and they're doing a better job than we have this race. So yeah, it's not for me to be a bad person and block them for that. You see how we are coming into the box, and yeah, we're going to be coming into the box lap 23 and putting on a set of soft compound tyres. And another stone in the works for this race is we're going to be running out of fuel. So you can see in the pit lane, we only have 0.02 of fuel left in the car for what is calculated for the rest of the race. And you can see on the second to last lap, we are minus about half a lap of fuel, and at its worst, we were minus a full lap of fuel as well. So you can see we're literally having to coast around the track to try and get the car home. and we are in last place, still lifting and coasting, and what a painful race that has been, I have to say. Starting out with a really good strategy, a really good hope, starting on the hard tyres. We got hit twice on the same lap. We got hit by Pookie on the first race, so it was just not our day today, I have to say.
Yeah, I would like a full debrief on
And
exactly why
now-
he decided to keep me out on the safety.
Now you can see we're completely out of fuel in the car.
I literally
but,
suggested medium.
Yeah, you can hear I'm not too happy in the car right now as we're trundling across the line, but not our day.
It has
but
to be
our
better for next
pace
time.
was better, our fundamentals of the car was better. We got through to Q3 this time, and we're building up good momentum and progress in the races as well.
We can talk about this.
But yeah, was an unfortunate result, but ultimately we're going to come back stronger and fight in a better
So I would
way.
like to
And I'll
know
catch you in the
exactly
next
why
video for Brazil on
multiple times in
PSGL.
a
Grazie,
row.
Versace, ciao, ciao, bye bye.